Welcome to Chop Shop Motors. My name is Clay. Tonight we are going to work on the 49 Ford F5 truck. So we are going to take the carburetor, pull it all apart, toss it in the carburetor cleaner. I ordered parts that got here a week or so ago. So we're going to turn that kind of old crusty carburetor hopefully into one that will function. And I'm going to take you along, kind of let you ride over my shoulder. No telling what we're going to find when we pull this carburetor apart. Pretty simple device, but a lot of years between when it was made and now. So it could be warped and bent, and things could be broken or stripped. And we'll see what we get into. Maybe we're getting really lucky, or maybe we can fix it. Or we'll deal with whatever kind of gets served up to us, and I'll share the story with you. So let's take this thing apart. Okay, so here's the little carburetor. We'll start pulling some of the pieces off of it. Stuff cleaned up. Get the steel line off of it. It's got a blending of carburetor screws, so that's probably not a good sign. It tells me something's probably been stripped. Oh yeah, that was stripped. Get over tightened to the max. The other thing is that I need to compare the gasket set I have and make sure that what I have is going to be right for this carburetor. There's not a ton of pieces that I have to worry about, but the few that are critical, we want to make sure they're right. And if they're not, then we'll go on a parts hunt. Well, I can tell why some of the carburetor parts don't work quite right. They had the wrong screws in them, and meaning the wrong size. So maybe we'll get lucky on the threads. We'll find out after we get it cleaned. So I'm not forcing anything, just make sure that all the pieces that we have functioning are still functioning when we're all done. Okay, with that part. So here's some of the pieces that we're looking at. This gasket has shrunk completely. You can see gap around the venturi hole. It's shrunk over here. Float doesn't look bad. So that's good. It shrunk here around the base gasket here, around the base where it sits on it. So I mean, it was problematic all the way around. Right. Made in USA. Nice. Nice. It's a walker. Got a couple directions. I mean, the amount of parts in there is pretty small. So let's see if what we have is going to work. Here's the first gasket of question. First glance, I feel pretty fortunate that oh yeah. It's got one extra hole. Got one extra hole at the back. It looks like it has all the same holes in it that the original one had. So yay on that. Fantastic. Okay, so step one, first gasket we needed is going to work. That's great. Let's keep pulling it apart. All right. So I've done a few videos of redoing carburetors, and I don't know that they're for everybody, but it's probably for some of you folks who have done them. It's probably good entertainment to sit back with a cold beverage and just watch somebody fumble along as they get this old stuff apart. So I hope you're enjoying your cold beverage. Okay, so I think there's probably a couple ways to do this. But what I'm going to do is pull the base off, and then I think that little the accelerator pump has a bar, and it comes down and it connects to like almost kind of a hinge, and so I think pivot sort of, if we get this off, we can probably get that stuff out of there and slide it off of that pivot. It's not complicated at all. It's just, there we go. So I just wanted to get, so what I might do is actually put that nut back on there, because it looks like it goes on multiple ways. And I'm just going to put it on there and kind of hold it in place. I'll kind of take a picture of it, and that way I've got a reference when I'm trying to figure out how it works. Pretty nice and clean on the inside, so it hasn't sat with a lot of water. A little bit of moisture right here, leakage or moisture. Pull an extra screw out of it. Right, anything else that looks sketchy? No? Alright, another piece down. So this one has a little keeper on it. I probably could have taken off had I realized it, but that's alright. Put that right up there. Slide that little guy off. Alright, little arms off. And then hopefully that should slide right out of there. And that will produce one stone hard accelerator pump. Okay, so we have that. Let's lay a few of these pieces out and see what kind of, see how lucky we are. New gasket lays on there and lines up perfect. So that's great. New gasket's perfect. And here's the old accelerator pump. Here's the new one. Looks like that's going to be just fine. It's different, but that's okay. This is like a leather one. This one, the good thing about buying carburetor parts that are modern and not new old stock is that hopefully, if they're made by a company that's competent, the pieces that are in the gas will withstand the new additives, because the gases now are a lot harder on the rubber stuff than they were in 49. So that's good. Okay, yay. Yay, yay, yay. So our gasket set is gonna work like a champ. Let's see, so here's the body. I'm gonna do a couple, oh, we have one thing to extract. Pseudo power valve. Hopefully it'll extract. There we go. That was pretty gross. All kinds of chunkies. All right, so that's done. I'm going to do one real quick check on it. Okay, this part, the body, is perfect, which is pretty rare. This piece, more than likely, will be less than perfect. It's a little less than perfect, but I think it's going to be okay. For what we're doing, I think it's going to work. Okay, let's put this stuff in the cleaner. Put everything in the basket. Almost everything. I don't put a few of the really small trinkets in there that I don't want to lose, and I don't put the float in there because it's just gonna float to the top and not really do anything but annoy me when I go to get it out. So that is the parts I'm gonna take, put it in the cleaner, and we'll come back when we've got a bunch of clean parts ready to build. Pulled the carburetor out of the cleaner, rinsed it off, blew it off. Carburetor turned out really nice. Got a pretty cool looking Ford logo on the side there. This carburetor looks like it's going to be a really good candidate to build, and I didn't see anything so far that's going to trip us up, but we're going to look at it much closer as we put it back together. I'll get you into the stand and you can follow along. You should be able to see everything pretty easily as we go along. We'll just start to put this bad boy back together. We're definitely going to need that guy and that guy pretty pronto. I'm going to accelerate a pump. It's not a ton of moving pieces to this carburetor. Got a couple things to check. There's a check ball for the accelerator pump down there. I'm gonna actually pull that out and just make sure that's clean. So there's the keeper for it. Just a little bitty ring, almost like similar to what you would see some keys that get cut put on, except it doesn't go all the way around. That holds a little check ball in. Is the check ball. So we're just going to run some air through that and just make sure everything's good. Okay, so I cleaned it out, ran some carburetor cleaner through it, got it all cleaned up, and now we're just going to drop that check ball back in it, make sure it's nice and clean. It comes with a new check ball, but I'll tell you the truth, I'm going to go with the original. Just because I feel better about it. It's a little bit like playing that game when you're a kid where you have a puzzle and you have to roll the little steel balls around to get them in the holes. It's exactly the same game. For you that weren't born a gazillion years ago, you won't know what I'm talking about. Okay. Now we'll put the keeper back in it. See how tricky this is. Shouldn't be super tough. Okay. All right. One check ball installed. Let's keep on moving. Got a few small pieces here that I did not want to run through the cleaner. We'll pull those out, make sure that so what I do when I build a carburetor is I make sure all of the pieces are out in the open. And the reason that is because I can tell by looking if I've missed something. And if I've missed something, I can go backwards and get it back in place. Okay, so this did not have a gasket when I pulled it apart, but it's supposed to have one. So we'll put one on there now. And then I'll make sure there's nothing on. Nope. Okay, so as you look inside, you see the power valve and the jet are in there, so we're good. All right, I'm going to put the idle mixture screw in. Okay, drums. We have a D10 spring right there. I'm going to put those together. All right. I think we can build the accelerator pump next. Kind of see how the leather came. It got soft, but it's ripped and torn. Got super supple, but it's lived its life out. So we'll pull this apart. This spring will go on this. We're all together. Make sure it is as it should be. Nice. Right. So that piece is done. Hope that works as it should. All right, so we're going to need this little truss piece and the keeper. And we need this little guy. And we're going to need this guy put on there. And I'm pretty sure I pulled it apart to get the arm off, but I think I just didn't realize there was actually another keeper to hold that little bridge together. So I'm going to try real quick just to put it together here. Okay. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is put the lock washer back on this because I think it'll all go together with this arm on it. Don't really need to pull that apart. Put the lock washer on. Kind of see this is the area where the accelerator pump arm is. Okay, we'll get that tightened up. All right. So that is how it goes. Okay. Now, I can't believe too many of you out there are going to be building these little carburetors, so this is probably not that big a deal, but at least you got to see it. All right. Jets in. We've got some pieces right here to put back together. So I'm going to stop you for a second and go blow off this jet. We've got the jet in it. You can kind of see there. Got the rest of the pieces in it. I think this Venturi piece, nozzle piece, is ready to go into the Venturi. Oh. When I pulled this carburetor apart, there were no gaskets anywhere. So interestingly, there are supposed to be a fair number of little gaskets. So we'll try to replace just as many of those as possible. I think they run better if they're reassembled as designed, for the most part. Okay, so that piece goes in there. And first thing we did was knock the little gasket down. Okay, we'll try it again. Okay, that piece is there. then we have an accelerator, I'm guessing an accelerator chuck right here. Drops in there. And the diagram shows it as having a keeper holding it in, but I did not get a keeper and it did not have one, so I think we're okay. Okay, I'm back to working on the carburetor. Got a little break for a bite to eat, which was nice, and now we're back. Just give this float a quick wipe off and make sure it looks right. Float looks really good. Pretty doggone original. Drop. So this needle and seat has a neoprene needle on it. We will find out how well that works. We will keep the solid needle and seat as a backup, just to make sure that everything's good. No downside to that. Okay, so that's in there. All right. Next. Okay, we are put on the check valve. Okay, I think we can put the gasket on, and I'm pretty confident that I can put top of the carburetor on. Okay, and we have 1, 2, 3 of the correct screws, and a whole slew of ones that are incorrect. So, let me see if I can round up some replacement screws. Okay, so what I've done is I rummaged through the spare carburetor box, which everybody probably has that's been messing with this stuff. Found a couple more bolts, replaced those, got everything the right size. So these two that are the wrong size will go in the I don't need pile, and the choke arm is on and the detent is lubed, so that works nice and smooth. Let's see what else we need to put on here. We've got just one piece of linkage left, I believe. Okay, pop. Fast idle cam is functioning. We will drop in cover pin for the fast idle cam. Alright, so you can see it, So everything is together, choke is open. Big one barrel, big throaty one barrel is doing its thing. Okay, do we have any parts left over? One hose clamp, and everything else is tools. All right. So let's tidy up a bit and show you the finished product. And here is the done carburetor. It's all together, it's clean, fuel line's clean, carburetor looks super nice. It was a great candidate. I think all indicators are green that it's going to run really well. Found some crap in it, that's good. I always like to find the culprit. I think we're in a great place. So next step, all the pieces are pretty much on. I'm going to clean the generator bracket, and then the next video on this Vortic truck, the 49 Ford F5, will be us, well, it'll be me putting all these components back under the hood. I'm Clay for Chop Shop Motors, and we'll see you on the next project.